What's up, everybody? Welcome to the How Podcast, where we talk about the principles and values of a worshiper. Your host, Levi, welcomes you to today's episode. The first Matrimonios episode was supposed to be with our other two hosts, Christian and Jonathan. I love my boys. Shout out to them. Um, but we flaked on going to OKC. Um, but here we are. We're gonna do it ourselves, right? And then we'll definitely get them on whenever we are able to make the trip out there. So uh, today's guest is none other than my lovely wife of 7 years, going on 7 years in December. I remembered, right? I kept figuring out stuff to say just so I could give myself time to remember. That's a very good tactic, boys. You have to just speak and say extra words as much as possible when you're confronted with, uh, having to state a fact like this, and it's just not easy for you to remember. Give yourself time to remember. Just um, speak, say the same thing, but using different words. That's just one of the many advices we have for you today. Um, in this matrimonios episode. You're not this quiet. Why are you so quiet? You're camera shy.
You just talking. I don't know.
There you
I don't
go.
know what to say.
You guys, what can people expect today to happen right now?
I'll be honest. Probably a little regaños.
Judah
To
might
be
wake
honest,
up.
Judah will wake up. A lot of dog cameos. Our dogs don't know how to um, stay out of our personal bubble, so you'll see them in the shots a lot. Occasionally licking us or trying to sit next to us. Um, what else?
Well, just what would you? Let's say let's get into it with I guess a very common issue that I think everybody has in a relationship, whether you're married or not. I think this is a issue that affects us men a lot. I think a lot of pressure is applied to us, to be what we're supposed to be, the leaders, the ones who are, uh, able to make good decisions and are able to then as well, act on the moment when needed, lead on, etc. And I think it affects us a lot, and I think it's important for us to talk about this. How do we usually handle this situation? Whenever girls don't know where they want to eat,
And a real question was coming up.
this is a real question. My boys, help me out in the comments. Hold on. Take a snapshot of this timestamp right now, and this will be a clip for sure. Like, that's a real question, you know? How, well, first of all, why are y'all like that? Like, why can't y'all just decide? But then I'll let you, that way I'm not just the one putting words, in our relationship's mouth, in our matrimony's mouth, but how do we handle that situation? What do I usually ask?
I mean, I have seen like plenty of reels and TikToks where couples kind of address this. And at this point, I mean, I feel like you should have caught on already because I've sent you a few of them. But here we are. Question number one. Okay, so for me, I think it's just like I want to tell you where I want to go eat, but I will also want to take into consideration what you want to eat. I don't know about other girls out there, right? But like, I know what I'm like, I'll know what I'm craving most of the time. Sometimes I don't know and I do want ideas. Most of the time I take lunch late and I eat like too many wrong snacks. So by the time that it's dinner time, I don't really want to think about food because I just stuffed myself with the bad stuff, and that's another story. But the other answer was I know where I want to eat, but I also want you to have something that you want. Because like if I'm craving pizza, but you're not feeling pizza, like I don't want to force you to eat pizza just because I want pizza. So then it's like I don't know. Do I tell you that I just want pizza and then you have to sacrifice your one healthy meal for me to have pizza? Or, that's a lot of the whatchamacallit. I don't know how to speak, so I'm just gonna go with whatchamacallit. That's how I feel most of the time when you ask me what I want to eat because I want to take into consideration what you want.
Oh, nice.
But I don't want to sound like I don't want to tell you what I want. I just yeah, like I don't want you to feel like comprometido. I just that you only have the one option that I want because I also like variety. So like if you pick somewhere where there's more than just one kind of food, I can always find something to eat there. But sometimes you're like that. Like sometimes you just want a certain meal, and I don't want to tell you no because I also want you to be happy. So yeah,
So,
so that's it.
so then you do always have a straight up answer in the back of your head somewhere.
No, like 70% of the time I have a straight up
That's
answer.
crazy. Okay.
Do you always have it?
No, actually, no, because then, I mean, I don't know how, the men would respond, but we prioritize, uh, the girls' want and desire over ourselves. I think, that's just natural, for us to uh, know that we might not always, get what we probably want, but as long as it's in the benefit of, you know, uh, our significant other or um, in benefit of somebody that we love, then you're always willing to make them happy, and because it makes you happy seeing them happy, you know. So I think that's always in the back of our minds, but that's going beginning in a joke, but that's something serious where it's like a sacrifice is always required, right? In what would you say those couples, from a girl's point of view, um, that are, and I've been dating for a while and are going to walk into that step of matrimony, or maybe are freshly, wed. What is, maybe something that as a girl, that you guys sacrifice, that you um, maybe don't hear people talking about it too much. Yeah, I actually, I mean, you kind of lack like this kind of content actually. Like, so I'm trying to pull references, maybe something I've heard, but you kind of lack like this content, between husband and wife, or these kind of topics online. But it's mostly like, dudes how to pick up girls or vice versa. But like seriously speaking, like what is one thing that as a woman sacrifice when going into matrimony? And how do you decide to make that sacrifice, find peace with making that sacrifice? Like sacrifice is having to give up something willingly in benefit of, somebody or a group of people, maybe it'd be a way to define it, but um, I don't know, what would you say?
Okay, so I feel like I'm not the girliest girl for this topic, but it's kind of the first thing that came into my mind is time for oneself. Like, and maybe it's not just for the woman, but for both parties, for the husband and the wife. But especially now that we have a baby, it's almost 3, but there is a big step in going from living um, a single life where you have no responsibilities that kind of tie you back, because I don't want to say like people don't have
Right.
responsibilities, but it's so much different, like just having to go to work and then coming home and having like the rest of your evening to yourself. Like, I feel like that's something that I know is harder to come by now. And not that I don't love the time with you or our son. Um,
Oh.
no, that's definitely um, but I joke about this a lot sometimes when I and maybe I to say when I go, I forget what the single life is like, But it's true, because when you're single, you're able to just make choices for yourself without worrying about how somebody else feels about it. Like, it's different with your parents, because your parents at some point know that you're a grown up, and they hopefully know to trust us, you, as an individual, as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
And they know when you tell them, I'm going to be out with my friends, you're out with your friends, but also that you're out making safe choices, that you're out making wise choices, that you're not out putting a testimony.
Or some of y'all don't even care. Santo.
So, so your parents know, you're, I'll talk about my hands for some reason. Um, your parents are aware of your choices, but they're not like, I need you here by this time. Maybe they are, and if they are, they do it out of love. You will probably get tired of hearing this because you'll hear it everywhere, I'm sure. But it's true, they do it out of love, and they do it because you're their kid, dude. Like, they're not being annoying. That's literally their job, to make sure that you're well. Parentheses, sorry. Um, but when you're married, or when you're in a relationship with somebody, like, you're always aware that somebody is waiting for you. Somebody is wondering, what's the plan? What are we gonna have for dinner tonight? Where are we gonna go eat?
Mm-hmm.
Both of us work, so for us it's like, okay, are you out of work yet? Are you hungry? Are you gonna go pick up Judah, or am I gonna go pick up Judah? So as a girl, I think sometimes, like the times that you have been out of town,
Mm-hmm.
um, sometimes, like when I get off work and part of me is like, oh, I don't have to worry about like figuring out where to go eat, because if I don't want to eat just because I hate
So
doing
I'm the problem sometimes.
it. It sounds like that with you.
That's how she. That was a build-up, guys.
No, because
We always lose, boys.
yeah,
It's all good, boys. I got
that's why I
y'all.
don't be on the podcast. No, but like just the fact that you don't have to kind of automatically be on like on schedule about things,
Hmm.
like, oh, we can, and it kind of even works for like on days when you really don't have any plans, like you can be like, okay, back to work. But anyways, um, you get off work and you're like, I don't have anything to do. Like, I can just go home, and if I want to go eat at 4:30 instead of 2:30, I can do that. And so I think, as a woman, back to the original question, which was, what was the question?
What is something that you, as
What did
girls,
I give
have to
up? I knew
sacrifice?
that was the question. I was just trying to find the words along the way.
Um,
Um, that I feel like that's something that you don't realize that you give up, but you do give it up.
mhm.
Or at least for me, because I would say like time for myself, like to go to do my nails, which I do once a year, do my hair, which there's roots. Um,
Yeah, we can see them
but
roots.
so it's for me, it's really not like that. But there are girls out there who love to take care of themselves, and they are beautiful, absolutely. But like it's certain things that you notice that you kind of have to put on the side, and sometimes like it becomes a luxury, and if you have time to do all of that, like awesome, like I'm happy for you because you're happy doing it, and you guys have the budget for it, and you have the time, and you guys have the como se dice, la disposición, both of you are in agreement. That should be the number one thing too, um, about it. But I think if it's something that I realize, it's that, like, the fact that when you're with somebody, you have to be conscious of them as well. Like, it's no longer just about you. It's no longer about what you want to just eat by yourself. It's not longer about how late you want to be out. It's no longer about just doing whatever you want, even if that's not a bad thing that you're out there doing. But the fact that there's somebody else who cares about you and wants to be with you, wants to spend time with you. Like, you give up time for yourself, you sacrifice time for yourself, but not to suffer. You give that up to have something better, because now the person you're with, the person who you decided to be with for the rest of your life, is somebody you're gonna enjoy
Hmm.
spending time with. So it doesn't matter that, maybe you don't get to binge your favorite show until 2 a.m.
Even though we've done that.
Even though we have done that,
And
but
it's
exactly,
fun.
like, but you
Yeah,
gave that up
you
for
did.
yourself to be with the person who
Yeah,
will enjoy doing that with you as well.
yeah.
That was a super long answer. I'm so sorry. I think I'm gonna
It's all about
take up
you
time.
today. I mean, it always is. Not that. It's never not. That's not what I'm saying.
So, better rephrase that.
Yeah. But in today's episode, it's kind of
I'm a
like me
special guest.
interviewing you. So that was a good answer, but it's I
Took
think
so long.
no. I'll be more straight up and actually want you to elaborate on something that I had in mind because I thought it would be something more specific to the girl,
Okay.
because I think what you said is very true and it could also be applied, in the man's point of view. But I was thinking of something more straight, and I'll tell you, I'm sure there's more than this, but this is what comes to mind. How Well, actually, now that I think about it, you could also apply it to the guy
Exactly.
because every girl is different, but for some reason it's just always the tradition to where it's like the girl moves in to the man's um,
Okay.
social circle.
Okay.
Um, also um, geographically, and so it puts the woman in a position where she has to, and this is very true for you.
Yeah.
It might not be true for everybody, but I'll tell you what I see within you. We've never talked about it actually, so I do want to hear this from you, but I'm sure a lot of people and girls can relate, where it's like you had to you stop seeing your family, not because I don't allow you to, right? But it's like you lived in Texarkana, which is like 2 hours from here, which I would drive every weekend to see you. That's another story, you know, a little story. If you know, you know. But, obviously you had your routine over there. Your whole family, most of them were there in proximity, you know, and then you move in here and you see your family only in birthdays, which is like, 3, 4 times a year when you would see them every day, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister. Is that hard? How have you coped with that? If so, how have you find, peace with that?
Um. Dang. Okay. Now we into this.
We've never talked. I never asked her this, but that's kind of what I was thinking. More, it's
Yeah.
just tradition. It's not always like that.
Right.
You
Right.
might
Yeah.
people want to marry somebody within like in the same city, like on the same church.
Yeah.
But in a lot of cases, this is the truth. So, how did you? We've been married 7 years, by the way. We didn't even say like how long we've been. Oh, yes, I did. I mentioned it, right? We're
Yeah.
going on 7 years in December. We're still young. I'm 27.
We're 19. Well, I was 19. He was already 20. He's a cradle robber, by the way.
It's crazy to say that like right now. I feel like within like this society.
We were both adults, though.
Yeah.
We were consenting adults. Let's come with like spark. Consenting adults. There we go. So, yeah. So 7 years. I think. I'm gonna answer you. I like that. I always like saying that I've loved growing up with you. Um, it sounds crazy because people will tell me like I'm 19, and I'm like, why are you even in a relationship? But that's when I got married, and I was like 11 days old, 19. I wasn't even that mature, you know. But I'm sure at some point we'll come back. We'll come back to this point. But when you know, you know. So back to your question. Um, it's tough. I think um maybe for me it was a little different because I'm the youngest out of 6 siblings, and I was the first to last to get married. So like everybody in my family already was married and already had children. So it was just me and my parents. I did get to see my family. Like I worked for my sister, so I got to see her a lot. And then shout out to Eden Bubble Tea, Texarkana, and Potato Patch. And for a while, China King Buffet. R.I.P. China King Buffet. um, but yeah, I think it was tough, and it's tough sometimes because like I see my nephews and my nieces that I saw them, when they were babies, and they ended up to like 1 year or 2 years, and then all of a sudden, I get married, I move 2 hours away, and then I only see them every once in a while. Uh, I don't think we even saw them once during COVID. So you see them now, like, obviously I'm not very tall, but like half of them are already either taller than me or like right here, ready to just look down on me one day. And so I say hi to them at the family functions, but they're like, hi, like, and I'm just another relative that they know of, but I'm not like the favorite tia and so that is something that is like hard to like completely be like, oh, my estranged nephew. But I think if I focus too much on it, it just becomes, why you have this face like you're gonna laugh and it's not funny. So like you're asking a serious question, but you're about to laugh. So ya no te quiero contestar.
We like to, one of our things every night is like we show each other the memes that we've saved throughout the day. And so you said something earlier that just reminded me of
What?
You said function.
What kind of meme have you shown me that has the word function in it?
This Barney voiceover where he goes up to this little kid and he's like, "You gonna be at the function, bro?" And he starts roasting his shoes. It's not a very, uh, Christ-like meme, so it's not.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We only follow Christian memes on Instagram. That's it. Okay, so now that you're back on serious mode, thank you.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so definitely like not being like the favorite tia or tia, especially like when I see my brother, because like I can tell like my girl cousins that I was closer to when I was younger, like they love him instead of me. So it makes me like a little like, man, why am I not as cool as him? But And then of course like my parents, you know, like the fact that I only see them every once in a while. Um, but it definitely makes you really appreciative of when you do have them, you know, and I think I will always say this, like I am so grateful for everything that my mom, as a son, my mom, I love my dad, but I think as a mother, you know, that's like really who you want to emphasize the gratefulness to, because the function of a teacher, the function of somebody who counsels you, you know, and the fact that both of them made the sacrifice to bring us here to this country, you know, but even even throughout those years when for a while I wasn't at church and I wasn't um very Christian, you know, like in my, what is that word that some of your friends use, chiquifilis says? Is that not what? Should I have not used that
They
word?
do say that, but I don't think they've used it within that
Back in my
context.
Cristina days.
That's it.
I
It's
am.
more
All
generic.
right, let's go back to the term.
Mm.
Okay. You know, you still have, I still have my mom that would constantly like be like, no te salgas del camino, no dejes de buscar a Dios. You know, and for a while, like, I don't know, this is gonna sound cliche when I say it, you know, like your phone's about to die. Um,
It'll pick up on
oh, cool. Este, I wasn't a bad person, right? Like that's the favorite thing that people say.
it.
Um, but I wasn't living obviously the life that I should have been living, that I knew that I could have been living. And it's not to put blame, you know, on anybody really, because at the end of the day, I was responsible for the life that I lived. Um, but to be able to say that I have a parent that has always pushed me to seek God, it has made me appreciative of having them for the time that I did, for the 18 and 12 days of years that I had my mom, you know, as my mentor and my dad. Um, and then to sacrifice, you know, the time that I had, that I guess more time with them so that I could live with my now husband, you know, I think for a while it was tough because we were always like, hey, we'll go like every month, you know, and but then
Yeah,
every
it's like
month
about
turned
3 years.
into like every 6 months, or and then for a year it was just like we'll just go to one birthday, you know.
And that, so again, and we did, come into that mutual agreement, and then we realized how
Tired.
real it was to, um, how how much your life changes. I think as a minister as well,
Mm-hmm.
that you, you're married, so now it's like, okay, you're not necessarily your time that you were investing in building a relationship to get a wife. Okay, now you have your wife. Now there's other stuff as well that
Yeah.
that you need to attend to. Like,
Mm-hmm.
my dad always emphasized that, where it's like, others can do it, but you can't. You're different. You're a minister. You guys are different.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's when we're like, oh, we don't even have time to do what we wanted at the end, and
Yeah.
and then consequence it, also didn't give us time to go see your family that often as much as we
Mm-hmm.
wanted to, and you wanted to, and so for what has been, and as vulnerable as you want to be, obviously it's like the first episode and stuff like that, but we've been nonstop as soon as you married married me and you came into our family. Um, it's not like one of those, oh, we're going to be off for a year and then we'll join back into ministry and responsibility. Like, we didn't even take a honeymoon. We were in church that next
Time.
Sunday that we were married. I don't think we've ever taken an actual honeymoon to be honest with you. You know, we went right working right back into the ministry. So, um, what what has been the difficult? What has been difficult for you um, as a wife, and also seeing the responsibility that sometimes I have to carry, and I include you too because you're part of it. I as much as I think it's so. There's a conception where it's like the man is the only one that's involved in ministry work, and I really um, I don't know, I'll get myself in trouble for this because it wasn't at all the example I got from my mom at all, where it's like
Mm-hmm.
only the man does the work and the woman is just cooking and taking care of the kids. That's not the mom I had, at least. My mom got her hands dirty. My mom was
And still cook
it
and
still
took
cooks.
care of the kid.
My mom still cooks at the functions, the
Okay.
function, bro. And en los convivios en la iglesia, and she still, she'll preach and then put on a mandil right after and get back there with las hermanas.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the hermanas don't like to cook something. But that's another story. But that's not and I've definitely seen that with you as well. You're hands on. Like you're, and so, man, I'm going on a different direction to even ask the question,
I
but
know.
like
Go ahead.
this is, I mean, you can't just attribute all the work to the guy, like the women, and even my mom. Like I'm not just talking about getting your hands dirty, like there learning with my dad as well, considering her when it comes to ministry, and then ministering to people as well. It's a two-person job, so you can't and you shouldn't exclude your wife at all. The Lord has definitely, I mean, abled her as well. If we say that our desire is to see all things restored, I've preached this so much. You know, God's culture is not our own. God's culture is Eden. And if order is things function to their original design, we see that the responsibility that God gave over dominion and subjection on the earth was not just to the man, it was to the man and the woman. They
Mm-hmm.
both have equal responsibility at the work and task that God has set forth in front of them. You know? I'm sorry, I'm going on a different rant. That's a different podcast for sure. Well, respectfully, I really think, women are definitely very involved and complementary and should be, to the minister. And so, but even though it's been beautiful and it's been awesome to travel. It's been awesome to, be in different cities and get to know those cities, get to meet amazing people. Shout out to, I'm not even gonna say names because I don't
Yeah,
be
no,
mad that we forget some
all of
people.
you guys,
You know who
all the
all are.
friends.
I love you all. Um, and but what's been you from your point of view, and if you'd want to say as a girl as well, you know, what has been difficult for you having to, you know, be married to um, somebody that's in ministry? What has been difficult to cope to deal with?
Nothing, nothing. You were going for a serious answer, so I just want to say nothing. Everything is easy. You're gonna be okay. No. He's like joking. No. Just playing. It was just a prank. Um, man, that question. I feel like that's gonna be my reaction to all the questions he asked me today. But I think if I had to like really pinpoint something is is actually really just accepting that you're married to a minister, that I'm married to a minister. Um, and you gave me the freedom to do this, so I'm gonna be vulnerable about it. Um, Dang, where was I going with it? I had it like right there. Um, I think, okay, here it is. So there have been moments when you and I have not been we've had arguments, I don't want to say like fights because I always credit you for just being the most patient person in the in those discussions. But number one thing, guys and girls, absolutely, like, si te gusta gritar, no grites. Like, he has taught me so much just about being able to voice your um your feelings without having to yell over the person. Like, number one, it's just I've learned it not just through him, but like even at the job where I'm at, like, gracias a Dios, the people that surround me have always just taught me that you don't have to be yelling. That doesn't mean you win an argument. When you're yelling, you're just making yourself seem uneducated, que no tienes, modales. Because everybody's a person and they deserve respect. And the same respect that your significant other gives you is what you should give them. And if they're not giving you that, you have to be the grown up and give that, right? And you've taught me that. So I thank you and I always credit you for that, because you've never raised your voice even when you have been really upset at me. And I thank you and I appreciate that you have taught me that. But in the moments when we've been in those discussions, um, I think there have been a few times, when I felt a little neglected, because as a minister, most of your time is devoted to ministry, whether and that's also like something I'm sure people know, but if they don't, like, it's gonna be out there today. The fact that ministry work is not Sunday 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's not just Wednesday or Friday night 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. or Vigilia nights and that's it. Like, I've seen it from your parents. I've seen it from you. Ministry work is Sunday 12 a.m. to Saturday 12 p.m. of the next week. It's every day of your life, because it's preparing lessons, it's preparing sermons, it's preparing, and if you're serving as pastor, and you're serving as director de alabanza, and you're serving as youth leader, and you're serving as, that's why it's 24/7. So I said this to you once. I said I could be the wife that complains to you about the fact that you're at church 24/7. I could be the wife that tells you you're always on your computer doing something, whether it's a lesson, whether it's songs, whether it's um, a new reel, a new video, coming out. I could be that wife. I could be that. I could become that person if I wanted to. But to choose that is to choose suffering in an unhappy marriage to somebody who has really you have a choice to leave it. But realistically, who you are, who you were called, who you are, you're not going to leave it. And that means for me, I could choose, like you said, to adorn that life, to be part of it, to bring something to it, or to be somebody who resents you for it and be unhappy. And Proverbs says that, it nos dice que mejor es vivir en una casa con un zinc que está goteando que con una mujer rencillosa. And in the moments when I've felt like, God, why is this my life? The number one thing that comes to my mind and to my heart is like, am I really gonna become? Do I really want to become an unbearable person? Because that's what it is. Like, literally, like, you picture that. Like, if you ever have a dripping sink, it's like
Are there
drop,
fire alarms that
drop.
we don't replace the battery?
Ta-da! Shout out to Isaac for always calling us out on that. um, it's like you're gonna hear that constantly, and And you would rather choose that annoying sound over a woman, a wife who's constantly, ¿por qué no hiciste esto? ¿Por qué te tardaste con esto? ¿Por qué siempre estás en la Biblia? ¿Por qué siempre estás en la iglesia? ¿Por qué siempre estás haciendo algo para? ¿Por qué no me pones atención a mí? And it just becomes a nagger. And I don't want to be that to the person I'm supposed to be happy with. Like my function, I'm sorry if that gets me like canceled, but my function as a wife, according to the Bible, it says que somos coronas del esposo, somos un adorno, somos algo que trae agrado a nuestra pareja, a nuestro esposo. Why am I going to become something else? Why would I want to become, why would I want to lessen that that image of a crown to be something that I'm not, just because I desire a little bit more of attention? And don't get me wrong, like we have a right to ask for attention.
Absolutely.
We have a right
Absolutely.
to we deserve the place of a wife and the woman of the house. We deserve that, absolutely. And but that's also on us to give ourselves that value, because I can't tell you that I'm your wife and not serve you as a wife. I've learned that. And there's areas that I'm still learning to show you that I'm honest about, loving being your wife. But our responsibilities as a wife stand regardless of what social media wants to tell us, regardless of what new trends want to tell us. Yes, it's a marriage works when both of us put in the effort, but as a woman, we have roles, and we have to remember that. I think that's like, give yourself the place of a graceful woman, somebody who fears the Lord, somebody who has the Lord as a number one, um, for everything. And show, that your husband, show your significant other that you deserve that place. But you don't show them that by nagging. You do not show them that by constantly begging for the attention or creating situations that make you look like you're just trying to get attention. La palabra dice que las mujeres sabias edifican. That means we have to be the ones that take what's going on in whatever situation, and instead of causing more trouble, instead of making it a more serious problem and then bringing it to our husband, is, okay, what's going on? What is my part, and how can I actually, fix this? There are things that may be unfixable just by yourself, but if there's something that you can just do to help, like, solve that situation, God has given us hands. God has given us knees. 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 Go pray about it. Go find word and figure it out, because I can tell you it is really hard to sometimes, like, feel neglected, and I think for a while there was, some of that. I was being vulnerable. Um, that maybe there was some of that, you know, but we talked about it, communication, and we both, like, we centered ourselves again. La palabra es el que puso la mano en el arado no la puede soltar. And it's like, okay, I married a minister. I married un director de alabanza, and I don't know what else God is gonna call him to do. I don't know. But my mentality is, wherever he's called, I'm gonna be there to be the help that he needs, to be the wise woman that speaks the words that lift him up, but remind him of who he is. And if sometimes hay que cortarles un poquito, ¿cómo se dice? Los globos para que no se levante tanto. Las alas, thank you.
Los globos.
I am popping. All right. If sometimes we have to do that, then we're gonna do it, you know.
She has.
Pero es con amor y es con gracia. And like I said, it doesn't mean that you don't deserve attention. It doesn't mean you're not deserving of time. Um, but it just means learning to know when there's a real situation that you need to be like, hey, okay, I'm your wife. Hello, you know, and not just like your husband, your future husband, your friend that you want to be your husband, you know, they're busy with an actual project, they're busy with an actual something for the ministry, and you're gonna be like, hey, 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 I love you, hey, I want no, you know, that you're not letting them grow because your your temporary happiness in that moment is limiting them from their growth and your growth, because then you're just becoming somebody who's constantly needing that attention rather than somebody that learning to be independent and building something of your own in that time.
It still requires, though, I would say, a level of self consciousness as a man, you know, um, to be able to realize that you willingly entered into a covenant, uh, and you know, as much as the Lord has assigned you and given you this gift of ministry, there is a truth that is very fundamental and that I always remember amongst the several things that my dad told me is that the ministry, el ministerio siempre comienza en casa, you know? And so what you do within the home as a man is a reflection of how your ministry is also going to play out. If you as a man are just using the excuse that you are a minister and you have a ministry to avoid spending time with your wife and your children, there's another issue there. Then, you know, because then that means that you're finding an opportunity not to be where you need to be. There is obviously, um, you know, moments where ministry has to, it needs your attention. Absolutely. People, you know, will unexpectedly call you, and they do, you know, whether me, whether you're yourself as well when it comes to young women, you know, as well, or hermanas en la iglesia. And so you attend to them, even if it's not on your schedule and your agenda. That's what we talked about, where it's like it's 24/7, but it's not like where it's going to take my attention from also supplying my duty as a and responsibility, you know, as the man of the house, because this is where your ministry needs to be strongest. This is your reality right here, your home. You know, your purpose and your responsibility is not your ministry. I've always said that. You know, your purpose and your responsibility is to steward, you know, your home first of all. You have a strong home, you're gonna have a strong ministry. You're gonna have a strong morale as well to be able to speak things into your ministry, into the people that you are ministering to, right? But this is what you need to steward, what you need to subdue, what you need to have, you know, the power over and be able to navigate into is your home. This is. So it's never responsible, it's not spiritual, and I'm sure God doesn't look down upon you with delight when you prioritize your ministry, you know, or when you over prioritize it over things that you have going on at home that you know you need to address, the things that you know you need to fix. You know, the time that you know you need to spend, you know. Uh, and so there's a level of way to say that responsibly, and I hope I say that responsibly because it is so delicate. It could so easily be taken as well. You're
Yes.
kind of taking it as second, but I mean, your matrimony is it or is it not God purposed?
Mm-hmm.
Is it or is it not a part of God's design for man? Yes,
Mm-hmm.
God has always been a God of family, you know. Um, there's, and that's a much deeper subject. People would say, well, there's not gonna, at the end of the day, there's not gonna be families in heaven and whatever. Not, I mean, I, I don't know. I'm going on another different. I'm just steering on into different things, but the point is that God has always been a God of family. Dios
Mm-hmm.
de familias. And whatever reality may be true in the future, this is your reality right now. This is this is your Eden that you need to attend to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whatever future may or whatever, doctrinal differences we may have, whether there's be families or not, like that's beyond the point. The reality is that, you know, if you presented your matrimony delante de Dios, then you are responsible for its triumph
Mm-hmm. Yep.
or its defeat. And so the responsibility will lie on the man. Honest, obviously, it's a complementary um, issue, and it requires both of us to play our part into it. But I love what you said, but it also needs to be spoken this on this side because it needs to
Yeah.
be balanced.
Right.
Because I can be like, yeah, of course, that is
Dude.
so right. You talk to them, tell them, tell those women, tell them right now, you know. Um, and then but the reality, boys, is that, bro, like we have
Mm.
responsibilities too, man, you know. And so I think if you are not spending enough time at home that you should be, then there's a different issue at hand,
Yeah.
I give me these guys, hey, there's something going on there. Um, but yeah, that's wow. Praise God. Praise God. um, do you have a question for me? Okay. I don't know why I was
uh,
interviewing you, but let's see. We've been on this for like 43 minutes.
oh,
That's
cool. We
what's
still
up.
have time.
That's what's up. Um, and if y'all see me do funny faces or do like this, it's because I'm trying not to cough. I've been very sick the past few days, but you know,
He's still at it.
yeah, it's still there, man. Esto de rebelde esa cosa, molino. But anyways, I think it's equal responsibility, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
let's see. Let me end on this. What is a piece of advice that you would give unto any girl right now that is like, I am. Eso me está pasando el tren. I'm playing. That's a different set of people. And I'm trying to get married. No. So, um, let's see. For girls that are so desperate into getting into a relationship, like I think that's just a common thing, a theme within people our age, obviously.
Yeah.
Younger, I mean, I'm younger. Sorry, I forget that we're in our mid-20s.
It's just a
But
baby.
it's just a common thing, worldly in the secular and also within the Christian community as well. Finding your significant other. Obviously, we got married very young. We're not saying that that's the formula to perfection
Mm.
and how to do it. But what is a piece of advice that you have for young girls that are wanting and praying for their husband? What would you tell them they need to focus on or do? How do they do that?
Whew. I was trying to not make it sound like the way I'm gonna say it, but I think I'm just gonna say it. No anden buscando. Like I don't, and it sound, and that's why I was like, I'm trying to find a better way to say it. But okay, Rebecca wasn't looking for a husband cuando llegó Eleazar. I think it's his name, Eleazar. You know, she wasn't. She was she was serving.
Mm.
She was working.
Mm.
Póngase a servir.
Yeah.
But and that's why I was trying to find a way to say it, because as soon as like that thought came into my mind, I was like, wow, I'm gonna say that, and it's just gonna sound like what? Yeah, But when you came into my life, I wasn't really. I might have been in a relationship. If you know, you know.
Airbnb, no.
um, but I think even if I wasn't in the relationship that I was in before I met you, I wasn't really looking for somebody. Um, because I think it's something that I've finally like learned to put into words, and it's really not that it's bad to be with somebody, because I absolutely love having you. Like in the times that you're gone, I'm like, man, what am I gonna do? Like yeah, like I'll enjoy not having to figure out what to eat, but like then I'm like, gaggle. It's like that one scene with SpongeBob and Patrick, when SpongeBob asks Patrick what he does when SpongeBob is gone, and he's like, wait for you to get back. so that's me, right? Like I it sounds cheesy, but like I don't feel, the same when I'm without you. So I absolutely love being, with you, and I know that's the feeling that people share, when they want to be with somebody else. Like it's so nice to have somebody that you can laugh with, that you can have inside jokes with, and that you can share memes with, that you can be vulnerable with. It's so nice to have that. And maybe just as girls, as women, it feels like it sometimes is more common in a girl to want to be in a relationship, to want to have somebody. And maybe it's in these things, the desire to feel protected, the desire to feel loved and cared for.
Nah, these dudes be desperate too.
But the reason why I say is no busquen, like no anden buscando, is because you're gonna tire yourself out of that, and you're gonna just you're not gonna know how to look, because you're just wanting to fill that empty space. And yeah, y buscando a ciegas, like you're just gonna grab the first person that tells you yes, or the first person that que te hace ojitos, or the first person that sends you one meme that you really like and you thought they were funny, and it's not that they aren't maybe a bad person, but the fact that maybe they're not, you know, your need to so quickly fill that void that you have, may just lead you to grab the person who you think is right, but is really also needing to learn to mold themselves first before being able to actually go into a relationship. Because being friends and being in a relationship are two very, very, very different things. And I think that's why people emphasize so much, like, at least I think in the team, that, it's like, no creemos en noviazgo. Because it's like, it's it's really not about the label, but kind of is. It's like just putting almost like somehow, but like a burden, on these two people who should be getting to know how their character is, who should be getting to know what their choices are in hard situations, how they handle their feelings in tough situations, and so when you're friends, you're able to freely be like, hey, I don't like how you said that. I don't like how you acted. I don't like what you said. And when you're friends, you're able to do that, and you know what, and be like, okay, I didn't like that, but you're right. Pero cuando es un noviazgo, like, if you say that, it's like, oh, no, you hurt me and I don't want to talk to you anymore. And and then it goes from being, a safe relationship, a safe place to be within that person, to like, no, ya no le quiero ver la cara porque me cae mal. It's like, no, I'm gonna have to leave the church because I can't see them ever again. And and then what was supposed to be a blessing is just a bad story that you tell your friends later on. And so back to why I said no buscan is because your need to fill that empty space that you just want to have somebody to watch movies with, you know, is gonna lead you to just find whoever you want for yourself, whoever you have an idea that is gonna be the best person. But instead of kind of just letting God and the Holy Spirit just be like, hey, I'm here for you because I've got the one I've got the one that God's already prepared for you, because I think that's what it was, right? Like, um, Abraham, Abraham was like, he's the one that was like, ve a buscarle esposa a mi hijo. Why? Because you I'm not gonna say it like that because you're right. Like, it's not just the girl that needs to grow up. No, and that's why I'm stop it from saying like that. But it was okay. So like Isaac was just like, okay, tráiganme a mi novia, right? But it doesn't mean Isaac was completely perfect. I'm sure he still had a lot of growing up to do, you know. Pero
He was 40, not 40.
oh,
40-year-olds are still kind of
yeah,
can be,
sometimes,
can
yeah,
be.
they
I get your
can
point.
be,
I get
yeah,
your point.
But yeah, honey, you know, I, um, I think when you are ready to actually be with the person who God has for you, both of you are gonna be able to freely like um just say, you know what? We don't have to wait. But you'll know when you're ready because there's not gonna be childish arguments. There's not gonna be um for us that are in the ministry, for you guys that are serving in church, for you guys that are in um, alabanza, that are part of the servidores, that are part of the diáconos, that are teaching kids. For you guys that ya están activos, you're not gonna be looking for somebody you're not gonna be praying for somebody to turn Christian. Like, you're not going to be praying para que el Señor te convierta a tu idóneo. You're not. That's not a prayer request. No. Your prayer for that person, whoever that may be, will be, God, take him to the next level. She's already here. Take him to the next and show him the next thing. It's not sácalo del mundo. So for those who are looking for somebody, it's like you gotta have the mentality that you're not gonna be looking for somebody que anda allá afuera. That's the number one thing. How to pray for the one that is it? I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I was
don't. I
thinking
don't
about that.
know. I
It
don't
was
know
always
because
that common conversation.
yeah,
How do you know who is the person that God has for me? I've been asked that so many times, you know? I I'm trying to think of where to point to, but anytime you can point to in the Bible to any reference that you want to pull, uh, even all the way back to Genesis, there God confided in man to make sound decisions.
Yeah.
Now, men, I mean men and women, right? But I mean, biblically speaking, when we see it in Adam, right? There, Adam still exercised his free will. Or what are we going to say? That in that moment, Adam didn't have free will? Like, God forced Adam to marry Eve? Like, let's be consistent with our thinking, right? If we indeed believe that we have free will, and that free will has been present within the design of men, from the very beginning, and Adam had free will when God was trying to find the person for him, right? And so ultimately, Adam was the one who accepted Eve as, his wife. And so I think we want to over spiritualize something that, should definitely be a decision that we ask God for direction in. But I think He has, I think if you were in that point, really, and I'm trying to articulate as I think, because I've never actually vocalized this thought, but it's like, I think God has already given you the ability to think for yourself, right? And
Yeah.
be like, weigh things. I think we would just want God to, you know, and I think if you really are that ignorant, I'm sorry, as we can see in the Bible, or unbelief, or really so doubtful, God will give you a supernatural sign. But I really think that God has allowed you to have enough self-sense, to see who is fit and who is not. I've always told people there'll always be things that you guys need to work on, but there's things that are non-negotiable that you
Yeah.
need to be on the same page on before you make the decision to go into matching. So when Jesus was showing his disciples how to pray, he brought up two very important things into the disciples. He's like, don't go off saying just whatever you want and start rambling just like the Gentiles do. And then, oh my God. And the other thing he emphasized was like, also, let me tell you something. God knows what you want, what you need before you vocalize it. The Lord knows your heart and what you need before you even express it. And so there's definitely a point where God knows the condition of your heart and its need. And, he opens up that door of opportunity for you, if it is indeed that, to find that significant other, or at least begin to build that relationship with that significant other, and it'll just happen. I think when we say we're looking, it's because we're being persistent and finding something. But when I when I think I'm letting God do it, it's like I'm focusing on God, and I know that He's gonna, you know, He knows the desire in my heart. So as long as I am focused on the things above, as the Word says and advises me to, and actually instructs me to, then because He knows the needs of my heart, then He will provide what I need in the given time. But my focus needs to be at all times Him. As long as He's my focus and not my own desires and will, then I'm for sure not going to mess this up with whoever it's going to be. And it'll simply work out. It'll work out. It just will.
I think to resume all that you said though, choose to be happy. If you're looking to be in a relationship, be happy with yourself first. Be sure that you're happy with who you are, who your faith is based on, where your center really is. And like you said, if you're not worried about that, God is going to fill the desires of your heart, if your focus is Him, if your desire is Him. That's what I think one of the songs says. Oh my God, which one? That one. That one. Tune in next week. We'll tell you.
I'm sorry.
Busca primero el reino. And that's not a psalm. That's Matthew, I think.
It's quoting the psalmist for sure.
Cool. El reino. Y todas las cosas vendrán por añadidura.
Well, it's using the psalmist's language for sure. It's pulling from that where it says, deleítate primeramente en el Señor y su justicia y todas las otras cosas vendrán por añadidura. Yeah. So,
if your desire is more, just seek God first, and He'll put it in for you. Anyways, we're gonna go because He's about to.
Yeah. God bless you guys.
Bless you guys.
Love you all. Thank you for tuning in.